Give me one more good season where they explore this. I don't need to see The Walking Dead, where suddenly Negan is introduced and he has a group of raiders, and now there's a war against these guys. Okay, and then another faction comes in, and then when the Whisperers are introduced, and we have a war with these guys. Is Google search engine a woman?
Why do you think?
Well, because it never even lets you finish your sentence before it gives you better suggestions.
Welcome to Two Gaming Dudes.
The Last of Us, final wrap-up. The last few episodes, and then a total series finale.
Yeah, so I don't even remember what episode we left off on our reviews. At some point we stopped and we were like, you know what?
Let's just watch the show.
Let's just watch the show. Because I feel like every episode is going to be us going, oh my God, that was so cool. And then we move on. That was cool. And
what we missed, basically, was the episode in the mall where we meet Riley.
That was less cool, but it was still a good episode.
It's still a good episode. And we talked about why those episodes are necessary. You can't just have mindless gunfight, mindless gunfight, mindless gunfight. You need a break in between to show the normalcy of the world. So that
you
the
can
gunfights...
give a shit about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understood. It's okay. Yeah, I think it stretched a little longer than it needed to.
Yeah, a little bit.
But they needed to build that relationship. So
it also makes sense because in a video game, everything is driven by the combat.
Yeah.
So every time you have important dialogue and stuff, it's happening while you're shooting people in the head. This is a TV show. It's character-driven instead of combat-driven, so we can slow down and actually get to know these people.
So so they make it to the university there, or a university on the way to Salt Lake. And they get jumped by some raiders, and they chase them off, and Joel gets stabbed. And they find a house to load up in, and that's where you get the dream sequence of her remembering the shopping mall and all that.
Yeah. Which is also exactly how it happened in the game, by the way.
Yeah, and I remember that point because soon thereafter, the guys come looking for those guys that you killed. Their group comes looking for them.
Yeah.
And you have to play as Ellie for the first time. And I remember just not being able to get the hang of her because I was trying to play the game like Joel. Just brutal combat.
Brutal.
And it will not work. No. She's a little girl. She's going to get killed.
Yes.
You have to play the game differently.
There was a fear for a moment that like, okay, now that it's switched over to Ellie's point of view, are they going to make her as tough and awesome as Joel? Is she going to just like be beating the crap out of people and, suplexing the bad guys and stuff? No, she's a little girl.
Yeah, they make it much more real. So it's good. And if you remember in the game, you have to do a lot more skulking around.
Yes.
Rather than straight up combat, because you'll lose.
Yeah, the end fight that happens in that room that catches fire, and there's a lot of sneaking.
Room,
yeah, you like are sneaking around him, and then you like dart out and you hurt him, and then you got to dart back and hide again. Yes. It took forever. I'm glad it was much shorter in the show because that took me for freaking ever to figure out. So
they rescued, or he rescues her. He's okay. They make their way to Wyoming. They meet up with Tommy, with his brother.
Right.
I think I'm going out of sequence.
You went out of sequence because they met Tommy first,
and then they started making
this happened.
Yeah, shit.
Because it was after that
they end up at the
actual hospital.
Anyway, that's not important. They
don't mind our recap. We don't remember what the hell we saw.
It's not important. It's not important. I just like, okay, we finally saw Tommy. He's cool. He's got this life built.
Mm-hmm.
But he understands, okay, I have to do this for the greater good. Joel is breaking down. He understands I can't do this anymore. It's cool. And he shows his first emotion that he's adopted Ellie as his own now.
Yes.
You see it for the first time when he finally rescues her from the cannibals.
Yes.
Very nice. And then, I don't know, a bunch of dumb shit happens. It's not important. They make their way finally to Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And they get picked up by the Fireflies. And they have to kill Ellie to get the...
Yes, because the cure is in her brain. So the best way to get this cure is to kill the one and only thing that's immune to it. Just kill that right off the bat and then dissect and we'll figure it out from there.
The funny thing is I still have my PubMed account open from school and all the medical students were just jumping on it like,
what the hell?
Why don't they just do a tap and take some cerebrospinal fluid and just harvest it from there?
Nope. Got to chop into it with a butcher knife.
Because It's
And,
not as dramatic.
I guess.
Whatever. And of course, Joel changes his mind. And I remember that gunfight in the hospital very, very well. Because it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And so well done. And it took me several attempts to finally beat it. But it's just this giant gunfight where he tears through the hospital, killing fireflies, and eventually rescues her.
It is a brutal fight, too, because
Yeah.
he has reached this point, and it happens in the show, too, where he's obviously reached this point where he's like, nope, I went through this horrific trauma, I'm finally over it, and it's about to just happen all over again. Nope, not happening.
Something that I really absolutely love about this is every time Joel is faced with one of those decisions.
Yeah.
I remember he makes the same decision that I did when playing the game.
Oh.
Let me explain. He's got a guy held prisoner and he's interrogating him.
Right.
He's like, all right, I'll tell you anything you want, just don't kill me. And he like stabs him in the leg. Tell me where she is. And he finds, all right, they took her to this camp. It's a resort.
Right.
And then you back off and you have to decide, let him go or kill him. I always kill him.
Yeah.
And Joel does too.
Yeah.
Because that is the strategic, smart thing to do. It's really cool. It makes him a very real character.
Yeah.
Because he's not a villain.
No.
He's a desperate man in a desperate situation, making the smartest choice for his survival. And you can't judge him for that.
Not really. I mean, you can say what he did was right or wrong, but honestly, if I really think that if he had just left Ellie and she'd gotten the dissected and stuff, they wouldn't have found a cure. These guys don't know what the hell they're... Even in the fictional world where you have to chop people up with knives in order to get the cure, I don't think they'd have figured it out. Plus, that's not what the story is about.
Yeah. But it's always kept real.
Yeah.
Like, let's think this out, not just what looks good on camera and what drives the story forward. What would really happen to someone facing this decision? The Comanches of the Wild West, when they captured, they had a battle and there were enemy infants, they would kill the infants. Not out of revenge or hate. They're a nomadic tribe that chases the buffalo herd around. They don't have the resources to care for an infant. Desperate people in desperate situations.
Yeah.
So, morality goes out the window at that point. Or at least you can't view it the same way.
No, and you have two very different, like, conflicting views at the end, which is really part of what makes the show so great and made the game so great, where you've got Ellie who wants her life to have meaning. She wants everything that she went through to have a real meaning, something that could impact the world, which is a worldview that I've seen from other young people who think, I want to do this thing and it's going to impact the whole world. And then you have Joel, on the other hand, who just wants his little circle, these 3 or 4 people that mean everything to him, and he just wants them close, and that's it. It's him, it's Tommy, it's Ellie, and that's it, really. Everybody else can fuck off and die.
Yeah, it's an outstanding examination at a very old philosophical question. If you could cure childhood cancer by sacrificing one child, wouldn't you have to do that?
Yeah.
And the answer overwhelmingly usually is yes. But what if it's your child?
No, it's different.
And that parenting instinct is so strong, and you see it on screen handled very well, that fuck the greater good.
Yeah.
I'm going to protect my own.
Oh,
It's great.
I am sorry, world. I would have made the same choice. So, I don't know what that says.
And they handled it so well.
They did.
And then, capped off at the end, that I think also was in the game, where she asks, tell me everything you told me was true. I was like, oh yeah, I swear.
Yeah. Yeah, that did absolutely happen in the game. I think the game goes a little further, like it goes a little bit beyond there, but I think this was a better place to just stop.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, it's going to get renewed for a second season. It was a huge hit. Does the second season start at the beginning of The Last of Us 2, or do we get like a filler season? Do we get to see something that happens in the interim that gets to be a little bit more made up before we jump? Because if we jump straight into The Last of Us 2...
No, people are going to be disappointed.
We know what happens.
Well, it's not a good game. It's not as good a game. It's not as good a game, and it's not as good a story. Yeah. I really hope they just branch off, continue on, and make this its own thing.
I hope so. That would be cool. That would be cool.
Because what I remember,
I wouldn't mind that. Like if the creators were like, okay, I know what happened when I made part 2 and all of this feedback. So should we take that and just take the show and call it its own universe?
I hope they do.
And hope something new. I kind of do too.
Because
I would like to see that.
In part 2, it's like 5 years later.
Yeah.
And they run into somebody and they end up killing someone, and some girl wants revenge on Joel, and then this religious cult.
It was the doctor.
Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah. The doctor, he's like, let her go. And then he's like, no, I won't let you. And just like,
I got a knife.
I've got a knife. The look on his face was the same as Indiana Jones. And he's just like, it almost looked like I've got diarrhea. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently that doctor has a daughter, and that's the whole point of part 2.
I don't remember that, but I don't care. I don't want to see. No, I didn't dislike part 2 of the video game.
Okay.
But it's not the same, and it doesn't match with what we've seen on the screen. It doesn't match. Just take the story from where we are and write a new story to follow along. What happens next? I hope they do that.
I hope so too. I really hope we don't get the 5-year jump and then go straight into the sequel game, because you can't go any further after that. And I think, do I spoil anything? Should I say anything? People who've played the game, you know already. But if you end up removing Pedro Pascal from the series at the 2nd episode of season 2, what are you left with?
Ellie becomes the main character, in which case you have to recast her.
Yeah, and also Ellie is going to carry this whole series by herself? Really? Without Pedro there? I mean, you've kind of created this dynamic, and it really needs to stay for the series to work. You can kill off just about everybody else, but those two, that's the show.
I think they're going to do what we're suggesting and just continue on in this universe. And I think that because they made such a point, a subtle point, the way it was filmed, the way the lines were delivered, swear to me that what you told me was true. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I swear it. Everybody watching went, oh my God, he lied to her.
Yeah.
Continue from there. You can build on that. What happens when she finds out? Fuck, I could have cured everyone, and you were too fucking selfish to let me go. That's something you can build on.
It is. And they do, in part 2, a little, I mean, that is there, but it gets quickly overshadowed by all the other things that happen. So, yeah, it would be cool to see that stretched out more. And I think it'd just be cool to see these guys continue on with their adventures for another 2 seasons instead of
2
or more. I mean, come on. It's making $1 billion.
I know, but
They're going to sell lunchboxes. It's going to keep going.
I don't want to see this jump the shark. Give me one more good season where they explore this. I don't need to see The Walking Dead, where suddenly Negan is introduced and he has a group of raiders, and now there's a war against these guys. Okay, and then another faction comes in, and then when the Whisperers are introduced, and we have a war with these guys. You don't need to stretch. Don't turn it into that bullshit. Resolve these open issues and let it go with dignity.
Well, if you do that, then you might as well jump into Last of Us 2. And I don't know how you do it.
Well, I don't know.
But then again, I don't work in Hollywood, so I don't know. I'd love to hear some comments down below. Should they jump straight into Last of Us 2? Should there be something in the middle? I mean, I really don't know where you go from here.
I don't know either.
But I do have a lot of faith in these guys. They've created a pretty damn awesome first season, and I think that if they can hang on to this, then we could see something really special.
Are you at all afraid that now the studio realizes we have a huge hit?
Time to intervene.
Make sure we send a couple executives over there to make sure they cash in on this properly. I mean, once the suits start interfering with the artists, it starts to come apart.
That is so true.
I really hope
every time.
Just let Mazan do his fucking thing and give us another season.
I guess that'll be the real kicker, won't it?
Yeah.
Like how much network interference is there really going to be? Hopefully none. Hopefully they back off and they're just like, hey, keep doing this thing that makes money, but you know them.
Yeah,
This
I know.
made money. Could we make more money?
We need a Fireflies spinoff. Oh, that
Yeah.
space show, Joshua? No.
No.
The Fireflies in The Last of Us. We need to see their origins, and then this girl gets a spin-off show.
We could have 10 Last of Us shows happening at the same time.
I don't need a multiverse of fucking Last of Us,
No, I do not.
where they all culminate at the end, where they all come together to fight some giant foot.
With all of them, and then Mortal Kombat comes in, and then Sonic comes through a portal. This will be great.
I just don't want the executives to do what they do to everything and fuck it up.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
There's definitely strong potential for them to fuck it up, but we'll see what happens. At the moment, season 1, great season. I loved it. Great show.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
Best thing on TV.
Yeah. Now it's over, and we have to try to get our enjoyment out of The Mandalorian. We'll be talking
Let's
about
do that next
one.
because
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Let's talk about that one next. All right, we'll see you guys in another video. Later.
Ciao.